morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes?
General Merrin?
Yes?
Thank goodness I've caught you, may I?
Please.
Thank you so much.
Caught me?
Yes, I thought I might have missed it. There was quite a flap on at the Ministry this morning, I can tell you.
Ministry?
Defence. My name's Carson.
How do you do?
Pleasure to meet you, General.
Well, as you can see, I'm just about to leave.
Quite, your plane leaves at 4, doesn't it?
Yes.
Splendid. Gives us plenty of time.
Time? I'm afraid I don't understand.
Oh, no, of course you don't. Do forgive me. It's about your request for an advisory post with the Ministry.
But that was over a year ago when I retired.
Oh, really? That long? Oh, well, not to worry. We have something in the pipeline that's absolutely right for you.
Mr. Carson, as you're aware, I am leaving for the south of France. I intend to live there permanently.
Oh, my dear fellow, we're absolutely delighted for you. And the post we have in mind won't take up much of your time.
I see. May I ask what it is?
Yes, it's a new committee. Strategic Arms Review. I gather you're in line for the chairmanship.
I don't see how.
It's mostly coordination. There will be a monthly meeting, but of course we can always fly you over for that. With your experience in NATO, should be simplicity itself.
Well, I don't know. I shall have to think about it.
Oh, yes, of course, my dear chap, of course. That's why I thought we'd get the security clearance over before you...
Security clearance?
Oh, it's just a routine matter, you know, just part of the red tape. Shouldn't take more than an hour.
Well, it's rather inconvenient.
I do apologize, General, but, you see, we were under the impression you were leaving at the end of the month.
Oh, yes, I was. But having sold my lease...
Yes, of course, a very wise thing to do. Shall we?
I suppose so. But, no more than an hour.
Perish the thought. I've got a car at the door.
Goodbye, sir.
Thank you.
Off we go.
They're on their way.
This isn't the way to Whitehall.
Whitehall? Well, this is just a routine clearance. We're using one of the annexes. Quite a pleasant spot, actually.
I had no idea we were going this far.
We turned off just a few miles along, General. You really will like the place.
I'm more concerned about catching my plane, Mr. Carson.
You will, I promise you. We've ample time. Tranquil, isn't it? So much nicer than all the noise and smoke of Whitehall.
But not quite as convenient for such a routine security clearance.
got him here?
Naturally.
But what about his flat?
Not just yet. We'll keep it under surveillance.
Really, Carson, I must insist that we get on with this.
Splendid. Commander Ryan, this is General Andrew Merrin.
Sorry to keep you waiting, sir.
How do you do? Commander, does that mean that you're special branch?
No, it's a naval rank, sir.
Ah. Then you're intelligence.
Of course.
Well, I'll leave you both to it. Until later, General.
Do sit down, sir.
Thank you. Did they tell you that I have a plane to catch?
Yes, south of France, isn't it?
Yes, Nice.
Ah, splendid choice. I believe it's frightfully expensive there these days, though.
I'm a frugal man.
Yes, no family.
None.
Relatives?
Commander, unless personnel files have changed drastically in the last year, all that information is on the first page.
Just for the record, sir.
Ah, then this interview is being taped.
Naturally.
I trust that I shall be able to take a copy with me.
I very much doubt it, sir. Now, perhaps we can make a start. Why did you decide to live abroad?
Rheumatism.
Yes, but it must have been a very difficult decision to make. I mean, a man with such a distinguished career, so many friends.
It's over a year since I retired. One soon loses touch.
There's your club.
Stuffed with retired generals. You know, I have no ties and no friends. The decision wasn't hard at all.
I see that you've spent quite a lot of time abroad. Aden, Egypt, Malaya, Germany. Must have been an interesting time with NATO.
When you're a general, it's always interesting.
And when you're a civilian?
I wouldn't know. You see, I still feel as though I'm a general.
As a senior staff officer at NATO, of course, you would have had access to all classified material.
Naturally.
And, of course, you're still covered by the Official Secrets Act.
Commander Ryan, do we have to state the obvious?
Sometimes, sir. Now, perhaps we could deal with your decision to live in France.
I thought we already had.
You have an apartment?
No, a villa.
Oh, really? You're very fortunate, sir. I believe property is very expensive over there these days.
I didn't say that I had bought it.
Ah.
As a matter of fact, I'm renting the villa from an old friend. There are a few left.
Villas?
Friends.
So your decision to live there is purely social?
What other reason could I have?
Well, that's what I'm asking you, sir.
Social.
There's no political motive for your rather sudden departure.
Political? What the devil do you mean?
Well, you see, sir, it's my job to establish positive or negative responses to areas which might jeopardize your security classification.
Well, the response is negative. No political motivation whatsoever.
Splendid. You have a lease on the villa?
I've already told you. It's an agreement with an old friend.
Yes, presumably you have some sort of security there.
Commander Ryan, I really cannot see what all this has to do with my qualifications for a job with the Ministry of Defence.
I expect it does seem like that to you, sir, but you see, as a potential security risk, it is necessary that we establish your place of residence.
I spent 40 years in the Army, and at no time was I considered to be a potential security risk.
No, I'm quite certain, sir. But you might well have been if you'd suddenly decided to live in a foreign country.
But I didn't. I waited until I had retired from active service, so there's nothing sinister about it. And now, if you don't mind, I have a plane to catch.
I haven't quite finished, sir.
Well, we'll have to make it some other time. As a matter of fact, I don't think I'll be able to accept the Minister's offer. All that travelling when I could just as easily be sitting out on my patio, enjoying the sun.
Writing your memoirs, perhaps?
Why do you say that?
Well, why not? After all, you have had a long and distinguished career. I'm sure they'd make fascinating reading.
Perhaps.
You're being too modest, sir. I'm surprised you haven't already started.
I'm a soldier, not a writer.
Yes, I suppose it wouldn't be an easy job, really. So much to cover. War, peace, the changing role of the soldier.
I'm no Tolstoy.
Well, perhaps the memoirs will answer that, sir.
I didn't say that I was writing any.
No, you didn't. But this week's edition of Stern seems to be quite certain that you are. They seem to think that publication is expected in the spring. In Germany. Excuse me, sir.
didn't like that.
Well, he had his chance. Major Sullivan at the General's flat yet?
I should think so.
You know, we haven't nearly enough to justify a search warrant.
True. On the other hand, everything you need may be lying there on his desk.
So you feel...
I have no particular feelings either way, Alan. But I do hate being kept in suspense.
Time to do some work.
I don't believe it.
Well, neither will the commander.
See if there's a way out of the back.
That's right, sir.
Bit late for that, isn't it?
A straight surveillance job, we were told. Just a friendly eye.
Oh, very friendly.
Fire escape at the back, sir. The door's open.
Handy things, fire escapes. While you were sitting outside the front door, someone's been in and out the back way.
What are we looking for, sir?
Manuscript of a book.
May still be here.
Or it may not.
Sorry it took so long, sir. I had one or two things to attend to.
I'm sure.
You read the report?
Yes.
And?
I've never taken the German press very seriously.
General Merrin, are you saying that there's no truth in the report?
A trifle premature, perhaps.
But you have written the memoirs.
I've roughed out a simple approach. We're not exactly ready to rush into print.
In Germany?
They made the best offer.
Oh?
Commander Ryan, I really cannot see what all this has to do with my security clearance.
Well, you could be right, sir. Of course, on the other hand, your sudden change of plan, your rather hasty departure, might have something to do with this premature announcement.
Good heavens, no. I sold the lease on my flat, said my goodbyes. There didn't seem to be much point in moving to a hotel for 2 weeks when I could be moving to my own villa.
Yes, I can appreciate that.
Good.
You did say earlier that you were renting the villa. Just now you said you owned it.
Well, figure of speech.
I'm quite sure, sir.
I don't really see that it matters.
Well, I don't know, but I just wondered why you should say you were renting a villa when in actual fact you owned it.
There is a perfectly simple explanation.
Yes, I'm quite sure there is.
As a matter of fact, it's being provided by my publishers. The arrangement is that I shall buy it out of the royalties from my memoirs.
Really? Then they are ready for publication?
No, exactly.
General Merrin, you're not saying that they're giving you a villa without at least seeing a manuscript.
I didn't say that.
No, sir, you didn't exactly say anything at all. Why?
I see no reason to discuss it.
But we are discussing it. Do you know, sir, if I were a suspicious man, I'd really begin to think that you wanted to be well clear of the country before the memoirs were published.
Nonsense. They're perfectly accurate. Just a simple record.
But how can you know?
What?
You said just now that they weren't written. You'd only roughed out an approach.
Yes, but in detail. I'm a methodical man, Commander Ryan. An approach, yes. But to me, that is 95% of the work.
Ah. Then you do have a manuscript?
I suppose you could say that.
Anything we could look at, sir?
Of course. Although it's hardly in a condition to assess.
Well, I'm sure you're being modest. If we could just glance through a draft, with your permission, of course, sir.
But why? I don't see the point of all
Well,
this.
I apologize, sir, but we have found in the past that it's more prudent to read before publication rather than after. It does save so many unfortunate errors.
I can assure you there are no errors.
I was thinking really more of the Official Secrets Act. You'd be surprised how easy it is to let slip some reference to some matter which is still classified. I'm sure that's the last thing you'd want to happen, particularly with a book being published abroad.
Quite.
So if you do have a copy...
There's one in my flat.
I see. I think we better have you back here, Major. Oh, and you might tell Chief Superintendent Clark a report on my desk by the morning, if you please. I'm sorry to interrupt, Alan, but I thought you ought to know the cupboard's bare. I've only just heard myself. Apparently someone else was shopping for the same commodity, emptied all the shelves before we got there. Bought the whole shop out, so I'm told, fixtures and fittings. Yes, I'm sorry, Alan. It seems to me the only place we might try now would be the wholesalers, if we knew who they were. So do your best. It's awkward, I know. All up to you, really.
I don't believe you mentioned the name of your publisher, sir.
That is correct. I saw no reason to.
Really?
This is a private matter, and any involvement by your department could well jeopardize the arrangement we have.
Yes, I can see that. Publishers don't normally give villas in lieu of royalties. Could start quite a trend.
It's not like that at all. It's just that I don't think they can help you.
Perhaps not. But if they do have the original manuscript...
I didn't say that.
Didn't you? Ah, well, of course, when you said that you had a copy in your flat, I naturally assumed that the original was with your publishers. Perhaps we could get it from them.
But why? There's no need to go to all that trouble.
Well, I'm afraid there is, sir. You see, unfortunately, it appears that your flat was broken into this morning, soon after you left. Most of your papers appear to have been stolen.
What? But this is ridiculous. Why should anyone?
Why, indeed?
Commander Ryan, I think it's about time that you explained yourself. How do you know there was a break-in? How do you know my papers were taken?
We were informed, sir. Routine procedure.
Don't play games with me, man. You're not Scotland Yard. Why should you be informed?
Because your flat was under surveillance.
I see. Then this charade is really an official investigation.
You could call it that.
But why? What the devil are you people after?
The truth. General Merrin, sir, you are aware of the custom of showing books and articles to the Ministry before publication. It's a common courtesy.
One I do not subscribe to, Commander Ryan. I have no intention of allowing some junior civil servant to put a blue pencil through anything that takes his fancy.
Can save an awful lot of trouble, sir.
Yes, I don't doubt that. But this book happens to represent a large part of my life, Commander Ryan, and no one puts a blue pencil through that.
They do if it violates the Official Secrets Act.
You have no right, no grounds to hold me under the Official Secrets Act, none whatsoever.
Of course not, sir. I was just asking you to stay to lunch, answer a few more questions. Excuse me, sir. Oh, perhaps you'd just like to glance through the Act, refresh your memory.
I'm not staying, Ryan.
I'm afraid you are, sir.
Then you'll need guards and a cell.
Well, that's really not our style. You're quite at liberty to look around, walk in the grounds, if you like. Lunch is at 1. I was under the impression that we had that flat covered.
They caught us with our backs turned.
Really?
The appropriate memos will be filed. In the meantime, we have a problem.
Yes, well, you heard all that. We haven't anything like enough evidence to hold him.
You could lean a little harder.
We didn't make him a general for nothing, you know, sir. At the moment, he's being polite. Obstructive, but polite. When I lean, I shall need something to lean with, otherwise he's going to declare war.
We need a flanking movement. Open up some old wounds, perhaps. You've read the file, Major Sullivan. You have a great deal in common.
Sir?
You've both been divorced. Brother officers, service in Germany.
Any wound you particularly want open, sir?
Oh, I'm not a consultant. I'm just the GP.
Morning.
Pleasant day, sir.
It's an abysmal day.
Major Sullivan, sir. Heard you were here. Wondered how you were.
Indeed.
You won't remember me, sir, but I was attached to your brigade in Germany for a while. 68.
Yes. Dear Dort, Munich.
Yes, sir. That was a very pleasant tour.
Good.
I'm sorry, sir. I forgot.
It doesn't matter.
That's stupid of me. We were all very shocked when it happened. She was only 19, wasn't she, sir?
18.
Lovely girl. We all thought you showed great restraint at the time, sir. I mean, a lot of people in your position would have had the fellas court-martialed. Americans, weren't they?
It's not a matter I wish to discuss, Major Sullivan.
Well, I beg your pardon, sir. It's just that many of us couldn't understand how you were able to take it so calmly. Your only daughter killed in a jeep. There were even rumors that the American officers with her were,
Major, I took no action because there was none to take.
I understand, sir.
There's nothing more to be said.
How's your wife, sir?
Why are you asking these questions?
Well, I thought it might help, sir. I don't know why you're here, but I do have a bit of influence with Commander Ryan. Perhaps if he knew about Germany.
No.
I'm sure it would help.
It has nothing to do with my being here.
Well, perhaps not, sir. But at Beardort there were rumors. Some said that the inquiry into your daughter's death brought out certain other aspects.
I don't listen to rumors.
Of course not, sir. Must have been a terrible time for you.
One copes. Somehow one copes.
And your wife, sir?
We were divorced the following year.
I'm sorry.
No connection, of course. It was just that she has to blame someone. I believe she married a publican. They have a place in Birmingham. Quite nice.
68 wasn't exactly your year, was it, sir?
No, Major Sullivan, not my year at all. My daughter would have been 24 this month. Married, perhaps, with children.
Well, if I were you, I'd press him to tell you who his publishers are. You never know, there might be something on him somewhere. Now, Major, how was he when you left him?
Pretty cut up, I'd say, sir. You want his weak spot? Talk about the Yanks. His daughter was killed in an American jeep in 1968. She was a little tart. I just reminded him about it.
Good. Well, let's leave him to his memories over luncheon, shall we? And go and have some ourselves. Thank you, Major.
Have a good lunch, sir.
Excellent, thank you. How much longer do you intend to keep me here?
Well, that rather depends on events, sir.
Events?
How soon you decide to cooperate with us.
Isn't that what I'm doing? I could refuse to answer your questions. Insist that you lay specific charges, claim my right to legal representation, or at least interrogation by an officer of equal rank.
You think that's necessary?
Do you?
Well, sir, if you could just give us the name of your publisher, we might begin to make a little progress.
They're outside your jurisdiction, Commander.
Then why are you afraid to reveal the name?
Fear has nothing to do with it. However, the firm is Riker and Bish of Munich.
Thank you, sir. Now, perhaps you'd like to tell me something about the memoirs, the more controversial sections.
Why should they be controversial?
General Merrin, sir, I'm sure your prose is excellent. But when you're paid in villas, one does expect a little bit more.
Very well. I admit there may be a few areas which will raise an eyebrow or two. I've never been a man to mince words round.
Quite so. Which areas?
Logistics, the pattern of modern warfare, the wastage of manpower and weapons.
In what sense, sir?
Well, the technologists have outpaced the strategists. One saw it in the last Egypt-Israeli war. Massive deployment of men and tanks, then massive casualties because the tanks had no defense against napalm from the air and short-range guided missiles from the ground. Hundreds of tank crews fried to death because the generals hadn't checked the arsenals this year.
I thought you were a tank man, sir.
Yes, I was. But when a weapon becomes obsolete, one throws it away, not into a battlefield where it's a sitting target for Napalm and newer and better armor-piercing rockets.
It's very interesting, sir. What are the sections?
Oh, command structure, the delegation of authority in the field, always a problem, but particularly now with multinational armies.
What about Europe? I'm sure you must have dealt with NATO.
Naturally, yes.
Would your views on that be regarded as controversial?
It's possible.
Probable.
Is that what you're after, Commander? A NATO scandal?
Is that what we can expect, sir?
We'll have to wait and see.
General Merrin, does your book attack NATO?
Well, I suppose you could say that it is critical of one of the member nations.
Specifically, sir?
The United States.
I see.
I've made no secret of my views on American influence in NATO.
Yes, I'm well aware of that, sir. But how many facts to support those views are secret?
I'm not a fool, Ron.
Well, then you realize how easy it is for a man in possession of classified material to give a false picture to the public.
Or a true picture.
A classified picture. As a senior official of NATO, you were required, under Section 2 of the Official Secrets Act, to withhold communication or publication of any material which could be beneficial to a foreign power.
And also extremely beneficial to the public at large.
Is that your excuse, sir?
I don't need excuses, Ryan. It's long been my view that Section 2 of the Act is largely for the protection of incompetent civil servants and imprudent politicians.
How about Section 1?
Don't be ridiculous. You're not accusing me of being a spy.
Shall we consider your service with NATO, sir? You were in strategic planning, I believe.
Yes, chiefly Western Europe.
How long?
5 years.
5 rather outspoken years, I should imagine.
As I've told you, I've never disguised my feelings about the Pentagon.
No, sir. Why? I mean, why America, particularly?
Commander, at sea, if the United States withdrew certain ships from NATO command, the whole NATO force would collapse. In the air, they controlled the guidance systems, even the missiles, because key components can only be manufactured in the USA. What kind of protection?
All right, thank you very much.
What have they got?
Riker and Bisch, Wegelstrasse, Munich. Established 1947, owned by Jorgen Bisch, ordinary commercial operator, no political background.
Don't believe it.
Well, neither do the Yanks, sir. CIA have circulated a report at station level listing it as suspect. They've had the printing works under surveillance for some time. But apart from a significant amount of subversive literature, it's clean.
How significant?
Fringe groups, extremists.
Nothing more definite?
Well, not on records, huh?
Well, there has to be something.
Well, I've asked our duty officer to contact the CIA liaison office. They might know more.
Well, why else would they make that sort of a deal with Merrin? A villa in the south of France. Only a general would ask for that.
Well, I don't know, sir. 1 or 2 ministers I could think of.
Have you ever been into a printer's, Major Sullivan?
Yes, sir, once or twice.
Where do they keep work in progress, galley proofs?
Well, by the presses, I'd say.
They're not in a safe guarded by photocells and laser beams.
They're probably stuck up on a nail somewhere, sir.
I shouldn't be at all surprised.
Isn't all this a waste of time, Ryan?
Well, I should rather think that depends on you, sir.
I don't see why. Section 2 of the Act has no teeth, and you know it. Even if you win your case in court, what are you going to do?
The offence carries a maximum penalty of 2 years' imprisonment.
Oh, come now. I write a book that is less than prudent. A fine, Commander, a small fine.
And an order forbidding you to continue with publication.
In Germany, you'd never be able to enforce it.
Well, it would naturally require your cooperation, sir.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes. I see. Thanks.
Under the circumstances, Isn't it time you ordered me a car?
We rather hoped you'd stay for dinner, sir.
I'd love to. Unfortunately, I have other plans.
The evening flight for Nice is fully booked.
I still have other plans.
A pity.
I thought I'd made myself clear, Commander. I am not prepared to give you any more of my time.
Well, in that case, sir, we shall have to extend to you Her Majesty's hospitality.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Even if I were to admit violating Section 2 of the Act, you can't hold me against my will. Damn it, man, it's only a misdemeanor.
I don't believe I specified which section of the Act you were being detained under, sir.
Of course you did. 2.
No, sir, that was your assumption. We are concerned with Section 1.
My dear chap, Section 1 deals with spying. I am not a spy.
General Merrin, it is laid down that proceedings shall be taken under Section 1 of the Official Secrets Act when a person can be shown to have been in contact with a foreign agent, and this in itself is evidence of the fact that he has been acting in a manner prejudicial to the security of the state. I am quoting freely, of course.
What foreign agent? The only people I've dealt with are my publishers.
Quite.
What are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything. But surely you can see the inference.
We're getting into deep water.
Sir?
Commander Ryan's going to need something a little more tangible than hypothesis and supposition any minute now, I'd say.
I'm still waiting on our duty officer, who's probably still waiting on the CIA, sir.
Well, can't you speed things up a little bit?
Well, I'm not sure how, sir.
You are accusing both me and my publishers of espionage. You can't prove a word of it.
I should have thought it was rather obvious. Less than an hour after we pick you up, your flat is broken into. Some valuables are stolen. And your memoirs. Now, I mean, what ordinary burglar in his right mind would bother with the General's memoirs?
I've only got your word for that.
I've only got your word that the manuscript was there in the first place.
You're really trying to tell me that the KGB could be involved?
You're either very naive, General Merrin, or out of your depth.
No, Ryan, I don't believe a word of it. I know you people. I know the way you operate. Bend, twist, distort, break.
I am merely conducting a preliminary investigation with your cooperation, sir.
On what grounds? On whose authority?
The department's.
Which department? What jurisdiction do you have? What powers of arrest?
None, sir.
Then you call me a car now.
No, sir.
Do you realize what you're doing, Ryan?
Fully.
Then you're a fool. You forget that I'm a general. By the time I'm through with you and your little power game, your name will be buried in the archives along with your prospects and your pension.
Not before I've completed my investigation and made my report, sir.
No. I've answered all the questions I intend to answer outside a court of law.
Well, then I suppose we shall have to get your room ready. Because it looks as if you're going to be with us for some considerable time.
You're bluffing, Ryan. You can't possibly hold me without proof. I am formally requesting the presence of a fellow officer as witness to this illegal arrest.
That is your privilege, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've just received some news that I think you ought to know about, General Merrin. May I, Alan?
Yes, of course, sir.
Our American friends in the CIA have confirmed that your publishers, Riker and Bish, are supported by direct funds from Moscow. In other words, I'm afraid you've been paid by the KGB. That puts rather a different slant on things, doesn't it?
But that's impossible.
The only thing that strikes me as impossible, General Merrin, is that you didn't know all along.
Nonsense.
Every answer you have given to Commander Ryan has been transcribed and recorded. When you arrived, you denied any knowledge of your memoirs. You also claimed that you were renting a villa from a friend.
I was merely protecting my personal interests.
On the contrary, you were protecting your contacts. You repeatedly refused to give us the name of your publishers. Why? Because you knew they were a front for the KGB.
No, I did not know that.
And before we had time to get your manuscript from your flat, your friends conveniently stole it. That's why you were playing for time.
You also admit that your memoirs are highly controversial, critical even of NATO. You are known, if I may say so, to have strong feelings about the American presence in NATO.
What are you implying?
You deny that you repeatedly expressed bitter resentment at their presence. Particularly since 1968.
Are you daring to suggest that my motives are personal?
I'm suggesting nothing. I'm merely presenting facts. The inquiry into your daughter's death did reveal that...
My daughter's death has no bearing on this matter.
Her reputation was well known. Only you refused to accept it.
They corrupted her with their money and their arrogance, just as they have corrupted NATO.
General Merrin, let us formally urge you to withdraw your book from publication.
No. No. You may do with me what you wish, but you can't stop the book.
Well, we'll break there, shall we? I expect you'd like to reconsider over dinner.
There is nothing to reconsider.
I'm sure you'll want to change your mind when you've had a pause to reflect.
Oh, it's a good deal better than it used to be, Major Sullivan.
It's all part of a new policy, sir. Something to do with job satisfaction.
Really? I didn't know we cared. I hope it's to your satisfaction, General.
Hardly.
No, I suppose not. I'm told that the weather in Nice is superb.
Is there anything I can do to help, sir? You will let me know.
Yes, Major Sullivan, there is one small thing. You could stop insulting my intelligence.
You know, I had the strangest conversation with the Minister's PPS the other day. We were talking about that SAS chap who went absent last month. Do you remember? There was quite a flap about it at the time. Well, I just happened to inquire quite casually if he turned up. You know, he looked me straight in the eye and he said, "What SAS chap?"
Extraordinary.
Departmental lapse of memory?
Apparently so.
Well, I can assure you, cousin, that no one is going to forget about me or my illegal detention.
Technically speaking, General, you're here as our guest.
Against my will.
You offered to come. You told me yourself.
Well, I'm telling you now that I wish to leave.
In time, when Commander Ryan is satisfied with his investigation.
I won't tolerate it. You hear?
Yes, indeed, I do hear, General. And frankly, it's something I thought I never would hear from a distinguished soldier like yourself. We're not the enemy. We are doing a job which is sometimes both distasteful and sad. You should understand that, General. You have been decorated many times for bravery and dedication to duty. I wonder if you'll ever have the courage to wear those medals again.
Sergeant Walters will show you to your room, sir.
I thought he took that rather well.
Maybe too well.
Yes. I don't think he's going to give in, Alan.
I never thought he would, sir. He's been taking far more punishment than we could ever hand out. Every day, since 1968.
And we can't hold him much longer, even under Section 1. It's rather a borderline case.
If that book is published, America could find itself in the middle of an international storm. I believe it could totally disrupt NATO. Thank you, Sergeant.
I expected better of you, Ryan. If you think dragging me out of bed at 4 in the morning is going to make the slightest difference, then you're a fool.
I do apologize, sir. The matter couldn't wait. Do sit down. It's quite a readable book, sir.
What do you mean?
These are copies of galley proofs obtained from your publishers in Munich. They're coming over our teleprinter now.
You're bluffing. They would never let you have them without my approval.
I didn't say they'd let us have them, sir. I said they were obtained.
Illegally. Not that it makes the slightest difference. They'll still publish no matter what you do.
Yes, of course.
Then you've lost.
Then we've all lost, General. You most of all. With this document, you can be convicted. You lose your freedom, your reputation, your honor.
I haven't yet even started to fight.
Nor have we. Before this is over, every man who ever served with you will regard you as a contemptible traitor.
Some of them will understand.
Understand what? That you deliberately created a political storm throughout Europe to destroy the very force which you, as one of its senior officers, were charged with protecting?
But you're missing the point. That's exactly what I am doing, protecting it.
Rather an odd way, isn't it, sir?
You're reading the book, looking at the figures. NATO has become a farce. A puppet army controlled by a government that doesn't give a damn about Europe. Read the facts, the figures. Almost every military arm is totally dependent on sophisticated weapon systems. Systems we don't control.
NATO controls them, sir?
No. You can't control a missile system if the computers and guidance systems are owned and manufactured by a single power. You can't control an army if its entire strategy is dictated by highly sophisticated equipment that only the United States can supply.
We supply equipment, too.
I'm talking about forces built around key equipment that we ourselves cannot produce. In simple terms, Commander Ryan, it's our game, but their ball.
Thank you, Major Sullivan. He's been checked by Central.
The assessments are attached.
Seems to me, sir, that you're obsessed with the idea of the enemy in our midst.
I wouldn't be at all surprised.
Is that why you went to the KGB?
Is that why you planned and wrote these memoirs in secret? And why you arranged to be out of the country before their publication? Why you accepted large sums of money from a foreign power?
The publishers came to me.
Just on the off chance that you were writing your memoirs? That was very astute of them, wasn't it, sir?
So you asked for a villa in the south of France as a down payment?
And as the book progressed, they pointed out that it might be better for me if I established a residence abroad. They didn't want me to be the victim of any political repercussion.
Very thoughtful of them.
Indeed.
I don't wish to be offensive, sir, but I don't believe a single word.
I don't care what you think or what you do.
Well, then you should, because I intend to prove that your motives were far more sinister. You made a deal with the KGB to put your name to a document which was specifically designed to split NATO down the middle and smash the European alliance. Your price was money and a comfortable retirement villa in the south of France. You knew that we couldn't extradite you under Section 2, and you knew that we couldn't refute your allegations without revealing top-secret information.
What kind of man do you think I am?
A man corrupted by events and hatred. In 1968, you discovered that your daughter had been engaged in a series of extravagant sexual adventures with a group of servicemen. American servicemen. She died on her way back from one of her parties, drunk and pregnant.
That is a damn filthy lie.
The lies are in your book, General. You distorted facts, falsified documents.
Accurate. Check any fact, any figures. They are accurate.
Oh, we did check, sir. There are distortions in the following chapters. Chapter 8, NATO personnel. Chapter 9, weapons and missile guidance systems. Chapter 10, strategic radar cover. Chapter 12, European defense. They've all been loaded to support your theory.
It's not true.
And the United States, with typical ruthlessness, equipped the entire Mark IV guidance system with microcircuitry only they could supply, and which had a built-in obsolescence of 1 year.
There is no Mark IV guidance system, sir.
Let me have that.
Now, those are your proofs, sent over our teleprinter direct from Munich.
But I don't understand. I never mentioned any Mark IV system. Your people must have made some kind of mistake.
It's hardly likely, sir, is it? What about page 94? The use of aircraft in West Germany. According to you, nearly 200 pilots were murdered simply for the sake of political expediency.
But I didn't write this. I didn't write this at all.
Didn't you, sir?
There are similarities, but the facts and the descriptions have been altered. Damn it, Ryan. I didn't need to do this.
But they did.
Well, they can't get away with it.
No, not now. But if you'd taken that villa, if you'd severed your ties over here, what chance do you think you would have stood?
I would never have put my name to this. I would have denounced the lot of them.
They would have been ready for that. And this is a valuable weapon. They wouldn't want to lose it, so they'd have lost you. You'd probably have had an accident. The book would have been published posthumously.
As it is, we'll arrange a press conference for tomorrow. You can deny the German reports. You can disclaim all knowledge of the memoirs. And you can even issue a writ against your publishers. Just for effect's sake. I doubt if they'd dare to publish now. Oh, and by the way, sir, there is something else. I'm afraid that your passport was stolen during the robbery. It might be quite a long time before the passport office is authorized to issue another one. Perhaps it might be better if you look for a nice, quiet place in the country. This country. Sergeant Walters will take you to your room, sir. And a car will be laid out tomorrow morning to take you to London. Good night, sir.
Splendid job, Alan.
I don't think he'd agree.
I don't know. I think the proof's convinced him.
Really? They didn't convince me.
Whatever do you mean, Alan?
They were a very sloppy job, done in a hurry. The KGB had plenty of time. They would have done it much more subtly.
So?
So I'm just wondering how much of the work was theirs and how much was ours.